In the second year of Carl's mayoralty, Glenville erupts. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I remember that Carl had gone out of town, and I can't recall where he was. Buddy James was the law director. I had been approached. I can't recall who told me, and people told me there were guns and ammunition at the corner of Auburndale and Lakeview.
In Glenville, but not in your ward.
No, it's in my ward.
In your ward.
It was south of Superior, near the East Cleveland border, and it was Ahmed and his guys. And I remember talking to Sergeant Unger. He had a squad, the Un-American Act, whatever, he had a squad there. But there was a black guy by the name of John Jones who was a detective. And he came to my house. I said, I'm telling you that the information I get is that those guns and things are over there. So they said, well, they looked into it. Well, that was on a Sunday, as I recall, but that Monday, Carl was out of town, and all hell was getting ready to break loose, and the police had sent detective cars on Auburndale, and it was facing directly into the backyard. And I got a call that Ahmed had one of those Spanish-American rifles with bullet clips and all that stuff on it. So the mayor called at City Hall, and Buddy asked me would I go out. I said, well, yeah. I went out with, at that time we had an ex-football player named Walter Beach.
Yes.
And Walter Beach worked for the Community Relations Department. So the mayor said, would you go out there? So I says, okay. So we went out there, and in the backyard, Ahmed had that AK, whatever it was, and bullets, and had gun belts across him, and had another young fella at the corner of the yard. And then the police is there looking into this. So we talked to him. To me, just be cool.
This is you and Walter Beach?
Just me and Walter Beach at this particular time. And so we said, look, so let me go get Ahmed. Let's go get Harlell, because Harlell was part of that, what we call the Afro set. He wasn't with Ahmed. So we'll go get Ahmed, Harlell. So we went to get Harlell, and we reported to the mayor what was going on. Well, by the time we got back to Auburndale and Lakeview, the shooting had started. So we couldn't get but so close to it. In fact, I was crawling on my belly to get the hell out of there. But that's how that thing jumped off, that shooting that night. Well, it lasted for a couple of nights, and it's funny how there's humor in everything. We were at 105th, and that's when you had the preachers walking, you had the civic leaders walking, and the mayor said, you'll take the police out of there. And we were at 105th and North Boulevard. I'll never forget it. And it was behind a cleaners. A lady called, elderly lady was on the porch. She said, son, said, come here. So I went up there. She said, there's a can of gasoline over there behind that cleaners. So we went and got the gasoline. It's me and Hartlell and somebody else. So I said, well, let's pour this stuff down the sewer. Hartlell said, no, I'm going to put it in my car. he didn't have any gas. So
the mayor's decision to pull the police out 50 years later is probably
good decision.
You agree with it?
Good decision. It was a good decision. I supported it then and supported it now, and it wasn't any different after he pulled them out than it was before they pulled them out. It was a good decision, because I knew that some of those guys was waiting just to pick off people, and and people generally complied. You got punks that was going to do it anyway. But that was a good decision then, it was a good decision now.
Talk a little bit about your relationship with Carl. Carl was not an easy guy to get along with at times. And you had your periods of ups and downs with him.
Yeah, but he was a smart guy. I mean, I liked him. But you have to understand him. He was not Lou.
Right.
He was not Lou.
What do you mean by that?
Lou is an every man's man. Okay, Lou loves the world. Lou wants to get along with everybody. Carl likes to battle. Well, he would battle you, and it was part of my personality too. All right, but he was smart, and he was shrewd. He could take a precinct, and he could take a pencil, and he could tell you how many votes he needed. But he also could tell you where to go and get the votes. Okay, he could tell you where to go and how to get the votes. And I learned a lot from him. And we had off and on relationship. We was at the board election one night, and I guess we had been arguing about something. It was nothing permanent. And so he came up to me and he said, "Shake my hand." I said, "I'm not going to shake your hand." He said, "If you don't shake my hand, I'm going to knock you down." I said, "Man, what's wrong with you?" So then he had a 16-year-old son, was about big as a tank. He came over and grabbed me and said, "Get that boy off me." So he said, "Leave him alone." But that was his nature. But if you knew him, you know that was his nature. Nothing permanent about it.
During Carl's mayoralty, you had another huge political personality in the council president, Jim Stanton, who he and Carl were enemies, period. They were political enemies. And you managed to kind of, always, or usually siding with Carl, you managed to develop a relationship with Jim Stanton also. How did you walk that tightrope?
Because, look, I never had the enmity, and I knew that if you were going to succeed in this business, you had to get along with people. And Cleveland was a divided city, and even though I had the reputation later on of being a racist, it really wasn't true. I knew how to make things work for people. Carl had his career figured out, and how to do things. And we had one day picnic. We went to Jim about something, and which made, it could have been on a tax or something, which made good political sense. But it did not make good racial politics. And he got upset about that and said, "I didn't tell you to do that." But Jim brought me into politics. Jim supported me when I first got elected. We had a big rally out at Everlasting Baptist Church with the mayor local came out in Stanton. And Jim supported the campaign and provided money for me and George White and Clarence Gaines to get elected. And I was always aware of that. And I maintained that relationship with him and his friendship. We went to business together. We bought the
Miles Drive-In.
The Miles Drive-In, okay? And I always maintained that. But I was able to distinguish the political relationship from the racial relationship. Now, we all did it at times. We all would revert back to where we felt secure in our racial position, both black and white. But I always try to mingle the two to make sure we could get through that. And that was, and so I had a relationship with him, and I had a relationship with Jim and with Carl, and I could kind of bring them together on some things, make it work.
Carl toppled barriers. He made history. What kind of a mayor was he?
I thought he was a good mayor. I mean, I came in with Loker, Perk, Dennis, Vonovich. He ranked up there. He and Vonovich, Carl certainly at different times, and the community thought that if you elected a black mayor, black problems would go away. Doesn't work that way. You only increase the problems. They won't, when we were in the midst of a national uprising of equal rights. And the business community thought if we get him, we won't have that problem. Not so. You had poverty, you had bad housing, you had bad police enforcement, you had these things. We had a guy named Pastor killed 7 black people. You had these kind of things that was confronted us. So I ranked him right there with Voinovich.